5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Born in the Sin podcast, one of the greatest real life podcasts out there right now. Thank you all for coming back and listening, tuning in. I appreciate it. Don't forget to check out my social media accounts on all social media platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Born in the Sin podcast. And also don't forget to check out that support page, Born in the Sin podcast. I'll really appreciate it. Thank you guys. In this episode, we're going to go ahead and talk about, something that we all have, right? We all go through, we all experience, and it's something that we carry every single day with us, and that is our ego. Our ego is huge, right? It's who responds to certain behaviors. It's who makes certain decisions. It's our ego. It's us, right? But in reality, who is your ego self? Have we sat back and took the time to think about it? Who really is our ego self? Of course, it's me and myself, right? But who is that self? Who is that person? Have we took the time to really just sit back and think about who is our ego selves? A while back, I learned this exercise where, you just stop what you're doing for a second, for about 60 seconds, right? You stop, you silence. And in that silence, whoever you hear talking is your ego self, right? And all of us have different ego selves because it's like, we all go through different things in life. But who is that ego self? Mine, when I did that exercise, there was, when I was listening to me in silence and hearing me talk, it was someone hurt. Someone very fearful, someone who was carrying all his past self and family traumas with them. It was someone who, didn't trust no one, a kid who was holding abandonment issues still. And it kind of had me really thinking about, my ego self. It's not that I didn't like that person, but I realized that I was holding on to the past. I was holding on to a lot of emotions that no longer served me, but when I silenced myself, it made me realize that, to understand my ego self a little more, and we all have to understand is our ego self is our past memories, right? Everything that we lived, everything that we experienced, everything that conditioned us today to this point. That is our ego self. It could be happy moments. It could be sad moments. It could be trauma. It could be a variety of different things. And that is who our ego self really is. And when I sat back and I, had to hear myself and silence myself to listen to that voice who's talking inside, and it was that younger kid who went through all that hurt, who still carried that hurt today. And it's very important for us to realize these things, to be able to grow and to be able to leave that behind and become that person that you want to become. I hope a lot of people don't get confused because the concept on ego is, you think you're better than everybody or this and that, and that's not it. Ego is way deeper than that. Ego is something very powerful. It's your past. It's you, and I'm going to read a quote that goes into that. It says, if you're not your story, then who are you? And that's so true, because it's like your story makes you who you are. It makes you who you are. It builds that ego self. And for some of us, we're blessed to, have a very positive ego, right? A very good memories ego. But for others, it's like we have this story, family, self-doubt, fear, all of the above. But it's very important for us to really just sit back and be aware of that ego. If we want to grow and we want to become a better human and, spiritually become awakened, we got to be aware of these things, and understand who is your ego self. I hope that everybody here today, sits back and 60 seconds, just stop what you're doing and just listen to that inner voice of yours. And who's talking? What is that voice telling you? And that's when you're going to really find out who your ego self is. And you're going to be able to grow from there, because you're going to be able to see what's really coming up. What's speaking to you? What are you hearing? And it's very important for life growth to understand these things, and my thing too, one thing that really stuck out to me was, the fear I was holding in. Why? Where did that come from? The abandonment, right? It's like all these things were coming up, and not trusting people. These things were coming up, and it's like, because the past, it conditioned me that way. The past conditioned me that way. My memories in the past conditioned me that way, and that's what built my ego self. But now I want to find a way to separate the me and myself, right? I need to grow these two individual people into becoming more stronger, and learning that I have to let go what no longer serves me, and let all that go. Let all that, the fear, the self-doubt, the trauma, let it all go. And I want that inner voice, that ego self, to speak proudly and loudly. And, my story hasn't been the greatest, as many could attest to that. And, many's out there also, their stories haven't been greatest, but it's our story. It's our story. And if we don't say it, who is? And our story is our story for a reason. And we can't forget that neither. And we can't silence ourselves. And we're not going to silence ourselves, because tomorrow we might not be here. And to let our story, that story that could impact the world, the story that could help out others, to silence it won't be no good to us or to anybody else. You have a story for a reason, and you should share it. It's your story for a reason. Don't forget that. But in this podcast episode, I hope that, if you could take away one thing today, is just take the time to, 60 seconds, whatever it is, and silence yourself and really listen to who's talking to you, to figure out who my ego self is. It's very important for us to be aware of that, because if we don't know who that is, we're going to keep on going through life, not understanding these things, not understanding what's holding us back, not understanding what's going to push us forward, not understanding if our past is still haunting us today. And it's very important for us to really take that into consideration and be aware. And when you think about things, the past is horrible, right? We don't want to go back to the past, but unfortunately the memories of the past did condition us today. And that's just reality, and nothing could take that away, because it did. But we can grow from it, and we can learn from it. And don't be scared to figure who that person is, because if you don't know who that person is, you can't move forward. You can't move to the next step. And I really hope that in this podcast episode, we all take the time to really, go back and see who's speaking up, to get to know your ego self a little better. Like I said prior, ego's not, I think I'm better than you and all that other stuff. It's not necessarily that. It's who that inner self that's speaking to you, that past of the memories that conditioned us. And yeah, this is gonna be a little short podcast episode for you guys today. I just felt like I needed to share that with you guys, with the world. Take time to really understand yourself a little more, and don't stop growing. Don't stop being a better human for yourself, for the world, for others, and keep pushing. I have so much faith in you guys. It's unfortunate that the past and growing up is what builds the ego self, right? And I can only speak from my perspective. The ego self who's speaking on my end is someone hurt, believe it or not. And I don't want to go back to it's a sad story. It's just reality. It's my fact, right? Yeah, there was good moments, but not as many as the bad ones. The ego self who's speaking is that young kid who, didn't have a father in the household, who, you know, mother did what she could, brother, just a lot of pain, right? There was just a lot of emptiness and a lot of hurt. And unfortunately, that's what builds the ego self. And, it sucks that it's my reality, but it's very important for me to understand that, right? That's not going to be my future story, right? It's what built me. It was part of the building blocks of life, but it's not, I'm not using that. I'm using it all as fuel. And in all honesty, I'm very grateful and thankful of my past, my childhood, everything that happened in the past, because I know I'm becoming a better human. I know I'm becoming a better man, and I know I'm becoming a better person, due to the past traumas and the past of my life and the memories that conditioned me who I am today. I couldn't be more grateful. I don't know who I would be if I lived a different lifestyle or grew up in a different way. It was on top of the traumas and everything. I had a lot of, I don't know why I built that. I have to dig in a little deeper, maybe with a therapist or something. But a lot of self-doubt, a lot of depression, a lot of fear, right? And when I did the exercise of trying to understand my ego self, all those things came up. It came up in a form that I was listening to who was speaking, and it was a fearful person. It was a person who didn't trust anybody, who doesn't trust anybody. And there's a lot of memories in my life where I could go back to understanding why I feel like that today. And it made sense, and it's just what built me, it's what conditioned me. But I'm learning to let all that stuff go. All that trauma built that happened as a kid, it's no longer me. It's my story, but it's no longer me, and I have to find a way to turn that around, because it's not fair. Even, due to family histories and things like that, we can't allow those things to keep on using that to identify us. Because it's like, original sin, right? You're born right into it. It's not something that you cause. It's just something that you're just born into. And, I mentioned that a while ago about original sin. It's not anything like religious or anything like that, but it's just like a concept, right? You're just born into something that you have no control over. It wasn't your fault. You weren't asked to be born in that. You weren't asked to be born in the family that you were born in. You weren't asked for that. And you didn't have any part into it. So I want that to also stay in the back of your guys' head, where it's like, our past stories or the memories that built us if it no longer serves us, we have to let it go. And we got to do our part to keep on growing and becoming the person that we want to become, and learn how to cut that tie, because when all that came up, when I was doing the exercise, it's like, I was a kid and I just didn't have any control over it, and it's unfortunately that now I have to do the work to unheal all that, or heal all that. It's just part of my journey. It's my story, and I'm embracing it. That's one important thing too, that you have to embrace every little piece and aspect of your life, because it's your life. You got to own it. You got to wear it like that gold chain, that, you know what I mean? Like, you got to embrace it and keep on walking towards with your head held high, because nothing's going to change it in the world. You just got to confront it as it is and keep on moving forward and become that person that you want to become. So, take that time to get to know who that ego self is and who's really talking. It would be a huge benefit to moving towards that ideal person that you want to become. Because without knowing who your ego self is, you can't really move forward, because you still have that person that's in there without knowing it, And I hope that each and every single one of you guys find it, and we just keep on moving forward to become that greater person. I truly believe in you guys, and I know we could do it. Our life was given to us for a reason. It wasn't given to us because, on accident. It was given to us for a reason, because they know that we could control, or whoever your higher God is, or whoever you believe in, believe that you could take this, you could control this. You're able to handle everything that happens, and I have been. I'm blessed that I have been. I have had a lot of slips, but I have made it here today, where I feel very good. I feel very happy. I feel, I'm thriving. I'm not where I want to be, but I know I'm thriving to that place, and I know I'm going to get there. I know I am. Like I said in prior episodes, there's a lot of bumps in the road, and you have to be prepared for that. But just take the time and really get to know your ego self. Know who that person is. And I promise it will be the best investment you could do for yourself. And all what it takes is just 60 seconds, really listening. And if you want, you could, I know some of us, I have the habit also of, just remembering things like that, because it's going to help your future self. So whatever you can do to remember these things, jot it down. Don't forget it, because it is going to help you so much. And we're just going to keep on moving forward. Just to add just a little bit more, to that ego self, is just, we want to learn that self, to be able to know thyself, to be able to love ourselves, right? Because if we don't have love within ourselves, if we're not filling up that space within us, where is that love coming from? Love yourself, but know thyself. We want to take that into consideration when we're taking these steps to understand who's speaking within our inner voice. Who is that person? And we want to be able to love that person, because that's a key essential, in growing within oneself, is loving thyself, knowing who's speaking, but also knowing how to love that person. Because if you don't show yourself that love, then who is going to show yourself that love, And we want to be just 100% aware, awareness within ourselves, what's coming out, who's speaking, the awareness of the love that we're given. And just keep that in mind, within growing and just learning. And it's only going to get better. And we want to make sure that we're constantly being aware of what is going in. And even when someone's speaking, right, you want to be aware of that thought process, because that's how you discover your ego self. Is like, when someone is speaking, what are the thoughts that are going in your head, and who's speaking up? Who's that person that's speaking up, and who's that person that those emotions are coming up? That's all awareness, that we all carry, and we should all carry that, to be able to grow and to be able to become that ideal person that we see ourselves becoming. And it's only going to get better, you guys. We just, I said this in a prior episode, it's just about doing the work. And the work starts off so small. It's 60 seconds, it's a minute. It's not too much time to overcome these huge blocks in life, right? These are stepping blocks in life, and these are blocks to become a better self, a better you. And it just takes just understanding who we are, right? Who we are, and who we are becoming, and understand that inner self that's speaking, or what is that inner self speaking to us or saying to us, but I believe in you guys. I know you guys could do this, and I know we're going to do this. And I just want you guys all to keep your head up and just keep on moving forward, and just know that life is beautiful. Our stories are beautiful. Regardless of the hurt and the pain and the traumas and all of the above, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and you're given this story for a reason. You were meant for this story, and you have to share your story. Back to that quote that I mentioned earlier, if you are not your story, then who are you? And take a second to really think about that. If you're not your story, then who are you really? That's just a little thought for the brain there for you guys. But I hope you guys are all doing amazing, and I know we got this, and I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. And just be grateful for what you have. Embrace what you have. Embrace life. Embrace every little part of it. And I know you guys could do this. I strongly believe in you guys, and I know We got this. But thank you guys all so much. And like I said prior, you guys could always reach out to me in any way that I could help out. I'm more than happy to help out. I want to start down the line is interviewing, some of the listeners who do have a story to tell. I want to find a system where I could, speak to you guys one-on-one and share your guys' story. All of our voices deserves to be heard. And I want the world to hear your guys', because if it could help to change anybody, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that to make the world a better place, to build the humanity level to more of a compassion level. And I get it, because David Goggins is one of my favorite idols, and he's tough, and I know if he hears the word compassion, he'll probably knock me aside my head. But I just want us to be able to be good and help out others, and be good humans. And yeah, so along the line, if anybody out there, you could reach out to me in any social media platforms or the email that's linked down below. And, we could see what we could get together. Because part of this podcast, I do want it to be to put spotlight on voices that are not heard. But the people who are out there doing the work, people who are out there pushing and grinding and getting things done, But I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening to Born in the Sin podcast. It means the world to me. We're only going to get better each episode. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys. And I hope that you guys have a great week, a great day. And yeah, let's get it. Let's not stop and let's keep moving forward. But don't forget to, tune into your ego self. Figure out who that person is. Silence yourself for about 60 seconds. And hear that voice that's coming up. Hear that person. What are they saying? And that's how we're going to be able to understand who our ego self is and be able to do the work from there. Love each and every single one of you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys. And let's get it. Have a great day. Love you guys.